Okay. Okay, guys, listen. So today we are going to talk about business writing. And yesterday we talked few things on business writing. That is that good business writers should write so that readers receive a clear and accurate impression of the writer's message. It then moves on immediately to 5 principles of clear writing, where principle 1 is to prefer clear, familiar words. We discussed elaborately on this. I told you about, guys. Writing is about planning, about collecting materials and implementing it. It's not just this does not only fit in writing etiquette, but it fits in many genre of our daily activities. Being a communication specialist or being a communicator, a technical communicator or business communicator, you have to have that ethics of planning. It is already it is inevitable thing that we automatically plan, but that planning process that is in our head has to be focused. You have to ponder some time, take some time to plan things, and after you plan things, once you plan things, you have to you have to do justice to your planning. You have to work out now, you have to prepare, you have to collect materials and things like that. So that is about okay. So let's see what your book writes here. Thorke and Kirkman here identify 3 critical steps which we reflect in this book. One is planning, organizing the material, and choosing the best way to express yourself. Once again, out of thousands and thousands of books, this is just one book prescribed to your course. Does not mean this has to be the one. Okay, this is just trying to in ocean, you have a lot of water. So this writer is just trying to take few buckets of water. That's all. So does not mean the rest of the water does not exist. By this analogy or by this metaphor, I mean to say that you can also add from your side. What do you think is the thing? Planning, yes, you have to plan. Some of the writers says planning, outlining, asking like posing questions, right? 5W and H questions and discussing, so things like that. But what this writer is saying is also that makes sense. You can add something to it also. So this is a qualitative analysis, okay? It's not a quantitative. So planning is there, organizing the material and choosing the best way to express yourself. They also put the initial emphasis on planning and preparing. Yes, preparation has to be huge because what you connect to the audience, and that has your presentation is output of preparation. So the more you prepare, the more you become perfect, the more you are rehearsed, right? So that is the thing. It's all about connecting to the audience. It's all about connecting to the reader. It's about delivering the promise to your client. It is as simple as that. So preparation has to be there behind the curtain. Preparation has to be massive. Planning has to be massive, right? Stress level should not pop out, but then planning should be there. Without planning, every successful person has planning and has a preparation. First, you set a goal in a way that is a planning, and you work for that goal. Okay, you don't minimize the goal. You just work as much as it takes. Okay, and what cannot human being do, right? You see in the sky, you see all these skyscrapers, everything. Human being is capable of doing everything, and also on top of that generating ideas. So you have to, preparation has to be massive. That has to reflect in your writing, in your thesis writing also. That is all it is saying. So a document can be beautifully written, but if it does not have clear objectives and does not satisfy the needs or expectations of its readers, then it is not an effective business document. Okay, I hope you're getting what I'm saying. We highlight the way that a document's structure affects our perception. Yes, Definitely, senses plays a very significant role. Perception has a subtle meaning here. So perception is a huge terminology. If you really perceive anything, you cannot do anything. But that is a different thing. But you perceive is perception here means your senses. So we highlight the way that a document's structure affects our senses, our motive, and demonstrate that the way it is organized influences how readers respond to it. So it is important for document writer to have clear objective. Yes, clear objective, because once again, simple. You might be giving your GMAT examination, GRE examination, or maybe IELTS, where your examiner they have little space for your vocabulary and how you play with the words. But once you are a technical communicator or business communicator, you're writing something, you're documenting something. It has to be very easy. It has to, your vocabularies should have, should be understood by all genre people as far as possible, until and unless and you don't use all these. Just because you're a doctor doesn't mean that everybody understands your jargon words. Those are very simple. Okay, so that is the thing. It has to be clear objective. Is it not? If it is a vague objective, then you cannot validate, you cannot integrate upon, you cannot authenticate upon that objective. So it has to be very clear and very simple, one at a time. Okay, I tell you also, when you write an exam, there has to be one keyword that should revolve in one paragraph. There should be one keyword. You just write a sentence that is topic sentence. You just unfold that topic sentence, explain that topic sentence in like 2 lines, right? And then you give one example, statistics, or maybe some example, right? And then you conclude what it is saying. So that is the real gist of writing. But what we do is we don't plan. We don't plan what we are going to write. We just write it down. So thanks to brain, the brain is already doing that little planning, but that is behind the curtain. So the planning has to be, you have to pick that, bring that planning strategy that your brain uses in a forefront, and you have to focus on that. And then your cortex part of mind focuses on planning, and then you'll understand the importance of planning. It matters, ladies and gentlemen. Let me tell you this: it matters. Planning matters, okay, and preparation matters. And there is output. Only then there is output. These are the two formulas. A planning plus preparation, research. That is output, and that is what your audience is going to see. That is the behind the curtain has to be planning and massive preparation. Okay, and that is going to be output. That is what your audience is going to be communicated. So that has to be understood. Apparently it seems that we tell that, oh, this guy has a very potential, that he is a good speaker, he's a good writer. No, the behind the curtain there's a labyrinth of things going on which we cannot see, right? There's a preparation going on. It's like a choreographer coming and dancing at the stage, but you don't know how many times he or she cracked his or her bones. Okay, so you have to understand that. So is there a best way to approach business writing? It's a very common question. Okay, many people, as we discussed here, right here, many people talk about preparation, research, organization, writing the draft, revision. Yes, you have to, when you look at a test, when you look at a textbook, and when you see all these things, your mind has to go beyond this. This is just, if you can be a writer down the line. If you become a writer, you write something else, but you just say, do you agree on this or not? This is a qualitative analysis. So this writer says preparation, research, organization, writing the draft, and revision are some crucial steps. Once again, you have your own. You can offer your own criticism, analysis, and you have to assimilate this also. Okay, which means there can be something else. Maybe like yes, preparation is there, maybe finalizing things, maybe editing thoroughly, maybe you can also, today's that it is ICT world, right? It is not only technology, it is information, communication, and technology. Communication and technology and information, these are embedded terminologies now. So you can write maybe using software, or maybe you can say typewriting, or maybe you can say collecting some genuine websites. These are the things that I'm just trying to impart you an inspiration that you have to have something on your own. Therefore, you become part to this whole explanation, and you feel that the writer is speaking your word. Okay, that is the thing. You have to break ice in that way. So 5 steps must be consciously, even self-consciously followed, according to the writer here. First, you need to establish the purpose of the document. In other words, you need to decide what your readers should know or do after reading the document. Second, you need to assess your reader to decide what they already know and what level of terminology or jargon will be acceptable. I told you before, so this has to be understood. Finally, you need to establish the scope of the writing project. Now, once you are a communicator, you are facing with the audience. You're facing with the world, right? And the world and the audience and everything. You versus them. You are a communicator. Any sort of work you do in today's information and communication technology world, anything you do, you are a communicator. Okay, ranging from a bank teller job to manager to anything, you do something, you are a communicator. Because today's world it has already proved that information technology is embedded with communication. Without communication, it is virtually impossible. So you are a communicator. That is, you are one variable, and the other variable, anybody who you talk to, anybody who you help to, anybody who you work for, these are all your audiences, readers, right? Consumers, clients. You can say whatever. So it is you versus all the world, right? It's very crucial part. So you have to be very, very careful. So there is a say, when you learn something, you have to be child. Okay, when you learn something, you have to be child. Learning is very difficult because you cannot unlearn when you learn things. Okay, you have to be empty to learn things, and then you self-assess. You research. Okay, if somebody is telling is right, you can consider that. Keep that in your vocabulary archive of your mind. If there is something, because people have different experiences and they explain from different point of view. For example, if I have exposure to American University, British University, Russian University, Indian University, I tell from all this perspective. But if I'm just stuck in TU, and I think that I know everything, but I don't know everything. That is the thing. So you have to be smart enough to self-assess, shuffle the things. Like okay, this is something that I'm gonna put in my vocabulary archive of mine, and this is something I'm gonna let it go. Okay, so you just try to take cream of the crop. All right, just the just part. That is your smart learning. So when you learn, you become like a child, right? The child protest? No. So just be like a child when you are communicating things, because down the line your client might come and tell his or her love story and family story and all these things, but you just listen. It's okay. You just listen. You don't react. But when you are teaching somebody, or when you are when you are recommending somebody, when you are publishing your ideas, right? When you are casting your views, then what you do is you become like a mother, forgiveness. So that has to be there. So simplicity, humbleness has to be there in writing and in everything. Okay, so many texts on business communication recommend this approach. Yes, that writing is best achieved through a definite sequence of steps. Yes, obviously, it has to be a step. It's in writing. There is a funnel up step, funnel down step. Okay, these are the things. Some of the strategies that people follow. But yes, it has to be there, and it automatically comes there. So you don't have to worry about it. It is there. Okay. The other thing is, now how should we plan websites? Okay, so website is a very popular thing these days, right? how do you plan websites? So many recent guides to website creation and design also advocate a staged approach. A typical example comes from Jennifer Fleming. In this book, once again, don't stop with Jennifer Fleming, okay, who suggests a development cycle with the following phases. So, I like to be creative when I ask questions in exam. I don't want to say what Jennifer Fleming said, because the moment I say this, testing, yes, I might put you to test if you have read this or not. But it is you guys are grown up now. Undergraduate is a grown up thing. Once you pass this, you are eligible to be a officer of you. You're face of nation. So I would like to respect you in this perspective. And what kind of question I might throw in exam is like, Jennifer Fleming says boom boom boom, right? I mean blah blah blah. What do you say? What do you have to say on this? So that becomes a lateral thinking. That becomes a creative thinking. You analyze critically. You just expand your thinking process, so your mind springs out some of the ideas. Okay, so let's see what Jennifer Fleming says. Information gathering. Yes. Okay, that is what she says. Now, what do you say? That is the thing. This means collecting all the information you need to plan and implement the site, right? Including the aims and targeted audience. Yes, there are some flaws. Because people are not as smart in a way. I'm telling very constructively, because you guys are privileged to study this course. It's a fantastic course here. Because people just delve into the thing without delving into the details, and they just come up with the website, and it doesn't work out. There's no bouncing back of any remunerations or anything. Little knowledge, right? But some people they extensively research. They research on color therapy. What are the colors that we have to use, right? What are some cool colors? What are some warm colors? Things like that. What are the effects of tint, right? And this color therapy, there is a whole thing there. And what are the words? Because words dwell with the God. God is, once again, I'm not telling this God or that God, but God is the universe, cosmos, right? Words dwell with the God. Whatever comes out from your mouth, it has to be proved. That is law of karma. But it takes time, or it does not take time. It depends upon the intensity. So words dwells with the God. So what kind of words you are using, and what is your targeted audience? For example, one word might be revered thoroughly, extensively in one culture, while the other word might be as less revered, right? All this concept, all these things. You go in China, every shop they have a cat. It is so amazing that you don't go out of the box. You have to assimilate the concept of getting into out of the box and rhetorics. Now, see, in Nepal, many people they hate cats, right? So those are the things that you have to understand. Information gathering, very thing, right? Strategy. You work out the scope of the project and decide what would best meet the user needs. Strategy is a very beautiful thing. You have to understand. There is a very thin line. Now, once you work hard, you accomplish things, right? Accomplishment is there once you work hard with your determination. But once you work hard, you achieve things, right? Now, once you achieve things, you have a definition round. You're defined. Your profundity is increased, and then there is a thin line between arrogance and confidence. So you have to construct your strategy with confidence, not arrogance. You have to, in a way, you have to help ever and hurt never concept has to be integrated. While constructing strategy. This might be a little big thing, but this is what we discuss in conscious leadership and managerial training, managerial communication training also. The other is prototyping. You create a rough plan for the site and decide how users will move about it. Now see, today's world, people are like cooking money. They're making tons and tons of money. So these are the things that you have to understand. Imagine a situation that down the line, anything you do, you have to reflect that. You have to mirror all your things in websites, because today's world is a communication superhighway and things like that. Okay, So implementation is there, launch is there, maintenance and growth is there, right? Think of a thing, if you branding is there, okay. If you don't have content, that branding is ruined. If you don't have maintenance thing, that branding is ruined. Same thing with the website thing also, right? If you, for example, you make like a 17th floor building, but you don't have any tenants to stay there, you don't have any business scope, what is the use? So there is a balance, like work-life balance, that has to be also in balance. So you have to understand everything, right? And maintenance is very important. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for your time today. I really appreciate. Thank you. Good luck.